Alright guys, well, we're at it again on the Eagle with another really fun project. I've already done one side, so I know what I'm up against, and I'm telling you what, it sucks. We're going to take this spring out here, clean everything up, put some chassis saver on it, and then install a horseshoe, well, a puck. I've already lifted the other side up and it turned out just right, but what it required was the use of a set of McPherson strut compressors, the spring compressors, and then this other dangerous contraption here made by OEM Tools. I'm just going to tell you what, that right there, that's a death trap. So stay tuned, this should be a good one. Okay, hope you guys can see a little bit better with the light on that. Let's move you in so that you're directly in the way. Now you got to take the shocks off first. I've got brand new KYB shocks on here, and I've already done a whole hell of a lot of stuff on the back end of this car, including rebuilding the entire brake system. And I painted the axle with chassis saver, painted the backing plates, put in new springs, shoes, wheel cylinders, and e-brake cables and shocks. I should have shown you that, but I have been so busy I have not had time to film. So that's what's going on there. And the last one of these that I did on the other side actually snapped off. What I think I'm going to do here is, once I get this shock out of here, I think I'll pre-compress this spring a bit and then put in the spring compressor. I think that's going to save us a lot of effort. So I've got the jack underneath the swing arm, and then I've got, of course, a jack stand underneath the cross member of the engine. Now you look at these old bushings in here, and you can tell these things are just absolutely done. We'll put all new stuff in here, of course. And on the other side I also had to cut the sway bar link, so we'll be doing that on this side right there. And they've got kind of a jacket around them, and it's just rusted out, so a kit is $5 or $7, and we'll go through and replace that. And then the other thing I'm going to get is some new bump stops. We had one rip off on the other side, and I think those are something like $3 a piece. Rock Auto's got them. In fact, here's the bump stop that ripped off. You can see it had ripped here already, but if you look at the other side, that's a fresh break, and I believe it should have been vulcanized right here. Okay, wanted to demonstrate how destroyed these shocks are. Look at that. These are Gabriel's heavy duty shocks, but this is the weight of my hand. I'm not putting any pressure on that. Now I am. They got pretty good resistance coming out, but going down, terrible. Now, that being said, if I were to need an extension for my shocks, look here, this is what I would use. I'd use this, cut that off, drill this out in the lathe, and thread that in there, thread that on the top of the shock. Now you've got yourself a shock extension. Remember that trick, because I was looking at having to do that for this. I lifted it 2 inches. You're supposed to be able to go 3 on this. This is an IFS style front end, so you've got the differential is fixed in place, just like a newer car. AMC was ahead of the game on a lot of that stuff. Right, let's get back to it here. Let's see if we can snake this puller in here without killing ourselves. Okay. Ow, 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 ow. Well, that felt good. Just sat on that bugger. So I'm going to try and snake this up in here while this spring is somewhat compressed. See if I can do it. If not, we'll release the pressure. I don't think we're gonna get it in there like that. That's fine. That's fine, because I'll have that in the down position, then I'll position this puller in there and we'll raise it up. But just look at all this undercoat flaking off here. So even this portion was painted on the other side. I painted here and here, just the contact surfaces, because we're getting some galvanic corrosion. And I actually couldn't get the wheel off. So you know how that goes. You have to kick the hell out of it to get it to pop free. And then one other thing I wanted to mention why I'm doing this is because I put on just a tiny bit bigger tires. But look what's happening already. We're catching and we're rubbing. So we don't want to have that going on. I don't want to cut here and start doing all that fender hacking and stuff. This isn't the Cherokee and I don't intend to use it like one. Okay, I'm going to sandblast this, and this piece actually comes out. You can see where it's bolted in here. These bolts are swedged in, so don't try and remove them. You just have to pull the nut off and pull that whole assembly off. And then my suggestion to you is keep this tight here, you know, put this back in and bolt it down tight, and then slip the spring in, because we had a hell of a time. And you know, if I'd have known that beforehand, I would have tightened it down, because this thing was sitting here rocking. Whoa. Easy there, killer.
Do I do it more?
Let it all the way down, carefully. That's good, stop. Okay, we've got this lowered down. Now you can see how this tool is set up. You've got a hook down here and a hook up here. Obviously matches the lower side of the coil, the upper side. And for the Eagles, the way that I found was the easiest to get this in here was underneath the bottom. So like that. Now, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna have my assistant pump the jack up in a minute so that I can just run this down without having to sit here and screw around under pressure the entire time. I'd like to do this one with only the one spring compressor. I've got these on rental right now. I don't do this job very often. If I'm gonna do anything with a spring, it's usually a ready strut, because I hate screwing with these and they're dangerous. And I had the other spring come undone twice on me and destroy my hand, my wrist. It whacked this hand open several places. You know, I was gushing blood everywhere. Might not look like it because I super glued my hands up, but it really did a number on me. So my assistant's gonna go ahead and pump this up, and this goes up through the shock hole, so it really shouldn't be an issue. Let's go. Okay, just keep going, keep going.
This is hard.
Okay, stop. We'll reposition this a little bit. It's getting jammed in there. Okay, go ahead. Go ahead, go watch that. Don't stand in front of it. This is as far as that swing arm will allow it to go. Now we've got a control rod down here on the back side. Let me show you. Excuse the camera bobbling around, but I want to show you what I'm talking about, so if you're doing this job you don't have a hard time with it. So right here we unbolted this. It just bolts onto the axle. I'm trying to shove the camera in here with the tripod, so forgive the bounciness. But right here there's two bolts. Now that was not easy to get back in at first, but what I realized was with a combination of lifting up the axle with the jack and using a ratchet strap, a heavy duty one, I'm talking like the truckers use, I was very easily, with about 2 clicks, able to pull that into position, push it down and put the bolts back through. So not a big deal. And we'll probably do the same thing here. The functional benefit of doing that is that you can get that control arm to drop lower. That's what that arm does, that control rod or control arm or strut or whatever you want to call it is supposed to be a limiter so that you don't actually have your spring come flying out if you flex. or if that, you know, say you got airborne for some reason, then your control arm is going to drop down. I'm talking your A arm, and then that spring could come out. So that's part of why that's there. Okay, now comes the other fun part of this. So we're already pre-compressed. Now, I would really like to have this below the bottom link, but the problem is I can't. So this sits in this pocket down here, and you're not going to get it past. So the best thing that you can do is go one link up. Now I'm going to tell you right off the bat, this is a dangerous frickin' tool. Don't even freaking screw around with this. Don't pound on it, don't nothing, because it's going to come undone, and that spring's going to come undone and end your life. Well, I don't know, there's somebody out there with a fat mom. I don't want to discriminate. Okay, now this is essential too, a ratcheting box wrench. If you do this with a regular combo wrench or an open-ended, you'll be here till Christmas. I'm only keeping this pressure up on here with my fingers as long as I have to keep the wrench in place. I do not want my hand in here. All right, well, we're almost as compressed as this tool will allow for. You can see up in there, I've got maybe, probably 1.25 inches. So I'm going to have my assistant lower this down, and I'm going to stand off to the side just in case something exciting happens. All right, assistant, start lowering that down. All right, stop. Okay, boys and girls, that's a really good sign. Look at that. She's off the perch. So now the problem is we've got to very carefully break this free from the surface tension. Okay. Just trying to break that free. She's still stuck. Dangerous. Okay, there we go. All right, I'm gonna set this down carefully. That went about 1,000 times faster than the first side. Let me get you a close-up in here so that you can see what we're gonna be taking care of next. And I'm gonna go ahead and pull this down. And I sandblasted the other one to kind of get some of this goo off of here. You can sandblast rubber to revive it too if it's oxidized. So that's what we'll do with this one. One thing to note is these bushings here are kind of shot, and they're readily available, but you've got to take the control arm out, and right now I don't have time to do that. I'm sure everything on this front end needs to be redone, but I just don't have time. So we're going to go ahead and needle scale this, and we'll have to come back at this at a later date. All right, as you can see, we've got this all needle scaled, and it's a good thing too, because I'm starting to lose needles out of the scaler. Not exactly sure how they're escaping, but probably not good for it that I'm running it at 3 times the PSI it's rated for. But until I get my air regulator fixed, that's what's gonna happen. So I'm gonna go ahead and start painting this by hand. I'm gonna start up here. Anywhere that's showing white, I'm just gonna cover it, because a lot of these areas didn't look like they were rusting, but as soon as you touch it with a needle scaler, you can see it actually goes back up underneath there a ways. Okay, well, we got it pretty well done in here. Gonna show you around here. Now, keep in mind, we've still got to do the spring perch and the spring. This one surprisingly stayed in the center, but I think it's because it's got some of that undercoat on there for a little bit of bite. But once I get that painted, it's going to be slicker than snot. So I think I'll put some rubber in between here and try and give it some grip so it can't slip, because this wants to spin down the spiral, and then it can just go bang and let go. It did that to me twice when I was just doing it by hand. That's pretty scary. Let me show you this spring perch here. So this thing's pretty filthy too. I did descale it some with a needle scaler, but you can see the bushings on here aren't the greatest. They'll do for now, but it really would be good to change those. But I'll get this in the sandblaster and get this all cleaned up and looking like new. Same thing with the spring, and I'll hand paint these, and then we'll be ready to put everything back together. Alright guys, we're all sandblasted. I rinsed these down with a little brake cleaner. You can see how clean this is compared to how it was. This is super scaled over. And I'm just going to hand paint these. Okay guys, here we are. Just brush those on. This time I used a bristle brush, but the thing with a bristle brush is you better be ready to throw it away. And as you start using it more and more, you're going to end up losing bristles. I had a couple stuck up here, down here, and on the top of here I had to pick off. But that won't really affect it too much. All in all, it looks really good, I think. And we can put these on in the morning because this hardens up after about 4 hours or so. So this will have a good 8 hours or better to set. Right, I couldn't find the crowbar, but I did find a piece of flat bar, so let's see if I can get this in here. Okay. Not sure what just happened there, but can't tell what's going on up here. Man, we are so close. If I can just get this flat bar in there and across the back of this control arm. Flat bar's just bending. I got it the first time, because it doesn't want to go in now. It just keeps slipping. Somehow this is jammed in there now. That is incredibly irritating. Just gonna put that out there. Got it. Okay. Now, we still have another problem. We have to rotate that puck. It cannot sit in there like that. Okay. Okay. I don't know what to do about this. It doesn't want to move. There we go. Yes! You see that? Well, we're going mobile so you can see it. See that? Right there. I got that to move. I got it in. All right. Whew. That was not fun, but it's in. Now we got to make sure this sucker stays in the pocket right there. It is very hard to move this camera on the tripod underneath here. This arm on the tripod's hitting everything, but you can see hopefully that this is in the pocket. It's where it should be. So we should be able to start releasing this. But what I'm going to do to facilitate things is I'm actually going to jack up the control arm so that it kind of comes up and meets this. You know, obviously I've got to get this out of here, but it'll be a little closer to where we need this. And so there's not as much chance of this letting go and springing down on me and causing a catastrophic accident. And also I can go ahead and put the control arm back in to limit the travel on it as well. These do not actually screw into the A-arm, but it's just slightly misaligned, so I'm having to thread it down through there. Let's see if I can get the impact driver on it. I don't know. I'm trying to do all this one-handed. Everything is smoking hot now. I need an extension. I don't have one out here, so I'm gonna have to do it with good old-fashioned brute strength. Got it. All right. There. Well, that's captured now. So that A-arm can't come down, you know, any further than it's supposed to. I'll tell you what, this side was a lot easier than the other side for getting these bolts in. I mean, the other side could have been harder, but I ended up having to use a ratchet strap on it. So, okay. Well, there we go. There we go. All right. Now these like to get hung up. All right, folks. There you have it. One pain in the rectum puck kit, spacer kit, whatever, installed. Now I'm going to go through and touch up all the paint, which I absolutely love, and then we can install the shock. One touch up. Whoa, that was a lot of paint. Oh, that was crap. Using some brushes in here because I ran out of foam brushes. That was something so I'm going to work it out. Okay. So I'm going to do that. And I already hit the shot that I was I'm dressing pretty good. So, sorry if that's, you know, something I really looking forward to seeing. I'm going to go series that I'm going this in here. And thanks for forgetting. And I'll take this later. Spraying on after I sandblast the frame apart. I'll get on with it. In here, my basic goal is not to make a pretty all over the place, nice basic goal is protection. Alright. I'm going to go this once more. I'm going to paint this now. Now watch something here. Let's set the paint down. Watch how hard this is to turn. Great. Now it's easier. See, but the other day this wouldn't even turn. Like just trying to move it that far, these brakes would lock up. So I don't know what's up with that. You can hear it hitting the differential and the other axle now, but I'm talking with both of them off the ground, you could barely turn either one. And I think that this brake system is screwed up. In the fog. Because you're still middle plug. It's in again. See how this over? Get there. Now I want you to understand something on this car too. I'm not just trying to open the parts cannon and go nuts on here. Nothing that I've replaced in this car has not been evaluated first, and this is the safety of my wife and children right here, as well as in my Jeep. So I'm not taking any chances, and I don't care if it costs a little bit more money. My wife's already been in a bad car wreck because a 13-year-old in a stolen car who was on probation T-boned her. And that would be why I'm building the Jeep for her now, because that is still 4 or 5 years later a continuing consequence of bad parenting and an irresponsible teenager / child being allowed to roam free. Watch your kids, people. You don't know what they're doing out there. Alright, we're going to lift this car up so I can rotate this all the way around. Alright, let's see if we can rotate this now. Nope. Okay, well, I guess I'll just have to do this the fun way. I love laying in the dirt. Highlight of my day. Alright, we're working over here. I'll try and zoom this in post-editing, but there's not a lot I can do with where the tripod is. Putting this bottom section in where those 2 bolts are is incredibly fiddly. So, once again, it's not a lot of fun. Now, this is going to sit up high at first, but I can move that swing arm with the tire, you know, the control arm or whatever you want to call it, up and down so that we can adjust where this sits in here so that I'm not having to force the shock down. So that's kind of what we're going to do right now. Let's just get this set up a little bit. They shorted me on my other shock. So these bolts that are in here, I was missing one of these. Or nuts, I should say. Super annoying. Painted these up. They're just a little dusty now from the driveway. The curse of my existence is this stupid gravel driveway. Bane of my existence. Okay. Looks like we're gonna have to lift this up already. So let's not lose our hardware in the process. Wish I could have done this when I did the shocks on my truck. That was a pain. Holy cow, those were the most difficult shocks I've ever installed. Set of Rancho 7000s, and the truck still feels like a dump truck in the front end. Can't seem to get any shocks on that truck that work worth a damn. Alright, I've got these other nuts and stuff painted, so I'm going to grab those. Now this is critical here. This piece goes on the center and holds your radiator hoses, so don't forget that one. So we've got a little bit of touch up to do on these too, unfortunately. I'm about sick to death of painting these little fiddly parts. I'm anxious to get this thing on its feet and see where it sits. See this? I don't know what's up with this gun, and then it won't charge my other battery. Yeah, I know there's a special shock wrench to hold this part, but I don't have one. I'm sure Watch Wes Work has one, because Wes has all the cool toys. He's like Batman. I guess that makes me the Joker, huh? Where does he get all those wonderful toys? finally bottomed out. Well, this car is just filthy right now. I have to take it in. You guys can see a lot better than I will be able to. You guys can see a lot better than I can. I have to try and guesstimate underneath here where everything's at, but it should be fine. I did the other side of the tire on, and yeah, won't repeat that mistake. You've got a whole bunch of stuff to stack all at once. You got 4 pieces here. You got a rubber washer, regular fender type washer, lock washer, and a nut. Looks like we need to pump this up a little bit more so this shock sits down here. Well, maybe not. Maybe it's just an optical illusion. Oh yeah, it was. Huh. Still way up in there with chewed up fingers though. Oh, man. So I went down to AutoZone to return the spring compressors. And just typical for this job, just everything has to be a pain. They couldn't refund my money onto my card. We tried 7 or 8 times. Ended up having to refund me in cash, which makes it so now I got to take an extra trip to the bank. Pretty awesome, not gonna lie. All right, we're going handheld, so excuse the wobbliness, but I figured you guys wanted to see this on the front side. That feels cross-threaded to me. See what I mean? And now the drill's malfunctioning again. Never ends, does it? Nope. Wow, what a pain. Put this in here this way. I don't want to do this one very bad because I don't want to cross-thread it. See, now the brake hose is in the way this way. Well, folks, there it is. Looks like it's sitting just right. Let's check between the 2 sides here. Looks pretty even to me. I'm gonna call that good. This is Reaper, signing off on another one. Like, comment, die.